God, I love that music. You know what time it is. So it's that time of the day when we bring friends and people we've done business with, all part of the Noodleberg Network, to share something good. And today is a special treat. I was fortunate enough to be introduced to Sean a little while back. We reconnected just prior to all the things breaking loose, but I love his style. He's an aggressive, innovative CEO. Welcome to Tell Me Something Good, Sean Kramer. It's your chance. Boom, rock and roll.
Great, awesome. Thanks, Steve. And I think I need to steal that background music for every time I walk into the office. So
that's good, right? It works, man. It does.
It's great. Yeah. So appreciate the opportunity and great to see you. You know, I think tell you something good. My life is going great right now between family, home, work. We're thriving is really the way that I best describe it. When the pandemic kind of came down, I traveled back from New York March 13th and got home, and obviously everybody's world changed at that point. Well, we changed too. Obviously kids being home and me no longer traveling and haven't traveled for the last 6, 7, 8 months. Really kind of allowed us to reset and refocus and rethink just about everything. So something good from my family. I have 3 daughters. They are beyond thriving, and I've got my oldest daughter started doing woodworking and started making squirrel tables, and wow. She sold I don't even know 100, 200 squirrel tables. They've gone all around the country, which has been amazing. That was great. And then my middle daughter is a baker, and so she started every weekend doing her own baking company and sells out virtually every weekend. It's just been absolutely unbelievable. And then from my own standpoint, I too got into woodworking quite a bit. I've always done stuff with my hands and took this as an opportunity to kind of build out a really great wood shop. And so I have been making and constructing everything that you can think of, cutting boards to chicken coops. I'm building a bar for a friend of mine right now. So wow. Who knew that the pandemic was going to be great for my hobbies?
I love that. And I'm not surprised, because what I take away from you is this ability to make the best out of any situation. I want you to share, if you will, what challenge you took over when you took over at the Diabetes Research Foundation, because you and I had talked about that. And we've been fortunate enough to do some work for you, but you were recently quoted as saying, and this could be my favorite sentence of all, hope isn't quarantined. And so I wish you'd expand on that, kind of talk about diabetes research. It has affected my family greatly, so I take it personally. So share that with the audience, if you would.
Yeah, certainly, and appreciate that. And personal for me too. For those that don't know, I was diagnosed with type 1 now about 3.5, almost 4 years ago. And so the opportunity to come in and lead the team at the Diabetes Research Institute Foundation was really an alignment of many stars, right? And I'm also a patient at the Diabetes Research Institute, so this is very personal to me. I'm a 4th generation diabetic, so it's personal to my family. And to the millions of people that are afflicted by this disease and impacted by it. I came in January as a brand new CEO to the organization, and immediately started to just look at the landscape of where we kind of sit in the space of diabetes research, and we are solely focused on a cure for type 1. That is it. Which is great. It allows us to be very clear in our messaging to the community. We don't do the care aspect. We don't really do the education aspect. There are other organizations out there that do that. We believe in one thing and one thing only, that is finding a biological cure for type 1 diabetes. And I have one mission, and that is simply to turn the lights off at the organization. I will be done when we find a cure for this disease. And so, when the pandemic hit and we started looking at, well, this is going to impact everything in terms of how we operate, we really, took a look at all layers and all levels of the organization, from what's happening on the research side to how we engage with the diabetes community, and it's allowed us to expand. And I started off the show talking about the fact that we're thriving. Well, we're thriving at the DRIF, absolutely thriving, and engaging people in ways that we hadn't been able to in the past, and the way that we think about engagement. So where we would have researchers get on a plane and fly to Chicago to host a dinner reception with our donors. Well, we can't do that now, but we can get on Zoom, and now we can engage donors not just in Chicago, but from across the entire nation, which is just incredible. We're doing those once a month. I can't get people into the Diabetes Research Institute building, so we have ordered a robot, and the robot is going to be a virtual tour. You'll actually be able to drive the robot from your home, and myself or one of my team members will be there, kind of walking you through and seeing the labs, from the comfort and safety of your own home. So where I think people found challenges, we found opportunity. And that has been really our mantra of how we're going to think about what's happening to us right now, and really truly rethink the way that we do business, so that we can overcome really whatever obstacle is in front of us. There are no obstacles. They're all opportunities, is the way that I view it, and the team views it.
So having you will always live in my memory as my first virtual keynote speech. So, you were way out in front of it when you reached out and said, hey, I'm doing a virtual retreat and I want you to do my virtual keynote. So I already knew instantly when I had spoken to you before that you were way ahead of the curve. Speak to the audience, if you will, about where did you get that sort of innovation gene, if you will? Like where did, because a lot of leaders got stuck in the sand. A lot of leaders focused on what they couldn't do. You obviously didn't. So I'm curious the genesis of, because you basically looked at every part of the organization, which you said, and said, okay, how can we make it better? And so I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think it's always been just part of my DNA. I started working when I was, 8 and 9 years old, and I was mowing lawns for neighbors, as many kids did back then. And was just always trying to think about, new ways. At that point, it was, how do I make money to buy baseball cards, right? That was kind of the big thing for me. And so, I would, at 12 years old, I was out with my neighbor at midnight on Saturday, stuffing the inserts into the Sun Sentinel. And I would work from 12 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock in the morning. And I got $20 and a free newspaper. I thought it was the most amazing opportunity for a kid to be able to go out and actually, not just make money, but feel good about myself. And so that work ethic that was really kind of built into me early on, said to me that there are no obstacles. Really, everything is what I said earlier. They're all opportunities, and you just have to look at, what's in front of you, and if you can figure out a way of managing the situation and identifying what is blocking you from doing something, and look at where are all the opportunities around it. And and what I would say is, I did not come up with ideas on my own. I've surrounded myself with really, people that are much smarter than myself. And, we will get into a room and dialogue and talk about and say, okay, we can't do, a Meet the Scientist event in person. Let's think about what that looks like, right? We can't do an event where we have chefs cooking in a ballroom for 500 people. How do we take that and develop it into a way that we can expand and think about it differently? So, having a solid team of people that are, I think, equally aligned with thinking differently is helpful. I think if anybody tries to sit back and say, well, I can solve this by myself, I think you're fooling yourself. And so, number one piece around this is you have to have an inherent belief that obstacles are just, that they're just things that are in your way at the moment, and there's always a way, around them, over them, under them, or through them, and that's what you have to figure out. And then if you have a team of people, the second piece is if you have a team of people that can help you figure out what all of those directions are, you will come out successful on the other side. I have no doubt about that.
I love that. It actually reminds me of a fantastic book, if you have not read it, called The Obstacle is the Way. And sometimes the obstacle is the reason why you have innovation, and it pushes you to places. And clearly the dialogue we had was based on mindset. You needed to change the thinking. And
Yes.
that's where the real opportunity was. So I want to explore something else, which I find the most unique. So you clearly have an entrepreneurial mindset, and I love that. And I think that's why you've been successful, obviously. But success in your case means you got to find another job. So, which is one of the most unique scenarios I think I've ever experienced, knowing that if you do your job well and all things work out, it's over. It's done.
Yes.
You've found it. So how do you live with that every day? It's just such an interesting paradigm that I don't think anybody can align. I can't understand that because that's not, it's just so neat.
Yeah, I suppose it's unique, but I look at it from the perspective of, how amazing would it be to be able to put on your resume that I helped cure diabetes, right?
Talk about legacy, man.
I don't think I'll have an issue finding something else to do after that, right? And it's not something that I'm worried about or necessarily think about. I'm focused on the task at hand, which is get the most money into the hands of the researchers now so they can finish the job. What happens after that? That's just another obstacle or opportunity that I'll have to figure out when that moment comes. But I'm excited about the opportunity to leave a mark and leave a legacy that I think will impact millions of people's lives, and that's what I'm focused on. It's not about what the next job is going to be. There will always be a job.
I appreciate your candor in that. So my question is, can you give us an update on? Is there a timeline? I mean, where are we in the evolution of finding the cure? Give us an update, number one. And number two, more importantly, we've built a nice size audience here. I'm excited that you're here. How can people get involved? How can they, donate? Give me all the details so that my audience knows how to move.
Yeah, so thanks. So I think the first thing that I would say is that, we at the Diabetes Research Institute and our scientists really were pioneers in islet cell transplantation. And islet cells are the cells that actually, produce the insulin itself within the pancreas. And functionally speaking, we have cured diabetes. We have taken away diabetes from a number of people that have gone through our clinical trial around islet cell transplantations, and they are no longer insulin dependent. The challenge with that is that it requires them, because the islet cells that are transplanted are a foreign body within your own body. You're now on anti-rejection medications, which brings its own set of issues and challenges. Wow. And so what I say to people is that we have cured diabetes. We just haven't cured it the right way yet. So the work isn't done. And that's the bottom line, is that, we're close, but we're not 100% of the way there. I would never give a timeline, because I would never pressure the scientists to say, in a year, 5 years, 10 years, and organizations that I think do that and have done that have gotten themselves into trouble. But what I can say is that our scientists, and many of our scientists themselves, are affected by diabetes. Dr. Chris Fraker is a type 1 diabetic. So he's fully vested in this. Dr. Norma Kenyon, her daughter is a type 1 diabetic. And so she's fully vested in this. So we have people that are on the team that are equally as passionate about, fixing this and solving this as certainly I am, and I know the rest of the diabetes community is. So, how people can get involved, I think the easiest thing for folks to do is simply, go visit our website, drif.org, and, become a DRI insider. That's the easiest thing to do is to go on there, take a look, sign up for our updates. we've kind of rethunk and rethought about a lot of the way that we're getting our messaging out now as well. And so I think you'll see some interesting opportunities to get some good quality content and hear directly from the researchers in terms of the updates. All of our Meet the Scientists events that have taken place are live on there. So if you have, if you're curious about what we've done or what the researchers are doing, you can see it there. But I think the key is really, go to drif.org, sign up to become a DRI Insider. If people are interested in making a gift, we'd love to talk to you. There's a link right on the website as well to do that. But, we're looking for more people just to get involved and get involved in your own community and help us figure this out and finish this.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. So I'll ask you one final question, and it's fairly obvious, but I just love to hear your answer. So COVID happens, it changes everything internally. What have you seen externally, either from a personal way or from just a DR? How has it affected you personally and in business? So.
Yeah, I think for me, personally, I think the way that I have been able to lead the team obviously is different than if you're in an office environment, right? So understanding that your team needs a different skill set, right, to be able to manage remotely versus seeing everybody on a day-to-day basis in the office. And I think that's been one aspect. I think the external side of this has really been focused around, what's happening within the nonprofit industry as a whole and how that's going to be impacted. And I don't think there's a quick recovery time, for nonprofits that aren't able to or haven't been able to, to rethink their own business model or change their own paradigm, right? Organizations that have been focused or have focused around peer-to-peer fundraising. Nobody's going to a walk right now, and won't be for the foreseeable future. So how do organizations that have, relied on, the majority of their income coming from these grassroots peer-to-peer type programs, how have they been able to change and think differently about their messaging? And I have yet to see a really good model or good example of what that's going to look like. So, I'm hopeful that we can get some new models and new ideas and new ways of thinking about things. I'm hopeful equally that the DRIF will be at the cutting edge of really showing folks how to focus their own energy and attention on doing things differently. And if we can be a model for others, that's even just a bonus for us at the end of the day.
I knew you'd be a fascinating guest, and I am happy to share you with my whole universe, and that it's personal to me. So if you need my help, you know where to find me.
Always appreciate that, Steve. Thanks for the opportunity, and stay safe.
Thanks for sharing something good.